Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says,
"Hey dude, you too must be from Marin."
Marin County's A-OK, from Tampa, Stinson, all the way to MA. Fresh organic veggies in the market every day. Lieutenant Dylan and NWA.
Welcome to the Run TMC podcast. That is the Run the Marin County podcast. I am Dustin Ballard, and I am a logophile. And with me is my good friend and fellow logophile and coach, Dave Levine. How are you, Dave?
I'm excellent. Thank you. Am I a bibliophile? Is that a lover of books?
Or is it a lover of the Bible?
I think it's a lover of books.
Yeah. Well, you are a Christian youth organization coach, Dave, so maybe you should be both.
True. Nice foreshadowing that we are going to talk a little bit about CYO today. So that's good. But yes, Duff, I'm great. Good to see you.
Nice to see you. You're talking more softly today. Is that purposeful?
Trying. I take feedback very seriously. I have the microphone away from me.
All right. Well, let's jump into it. So last episode was episode 22 with Coach Pribble. In our sponsor drive, we have received some good feedback so far. So thank you to The Hub, Karen Horsemeyer, and Medium, which is, for those who may not know, an online publishing platform.
Nice.
Our friend Luke Esterkin works there, and I have published on the platform. It is easy to use and has a very nice graphical options. Good way to call out quotes and that sort of thing.
Very cool. It's a great company. Started by the Evan Williams, one of the co-founders of Twitter.
Indeed. So more about them in the future. But for now, we are still in the midst of the sponsor drive. So please reach out to us at the runtmcpodcast@gmail.com or at our website, theruntmcpodcast.com, or any other means of communication that may work for you. So that is sponsorship, Dave, and let's get to content. So we're going to put the glossary up front today, and I'm going to let you go first with gapping it.
Yeah, so our guest today is Coach Jonas Honick, my high school coach from Branson, 700 wins, a legendary coach, and this is something that he always talked about. And in our conversation today, he brought this up, and it just brought back memories for me. Gapping it is a defensive strategy. Basically, Duff, to gap it, I would never gap it against you. Let's put it that way. Gapping it is when you're guarding somebody on the wing and you're sagging off them and kind of protecting the gap so they don't penetrate, but you're sort of faking at them at the same time. Xander McNally did this to me and stole the ball 7 times against me.
Stunting.
It's stunting. Same idea. So it's basically a strategy where you're daring somebody to shoot an outside shot because you really don't want them to penetrate. So that's called gapping it. And we were talking about it with Honick later today, later in this discussion about playing teams that are really talented and how do you stop them. And one way to do that is sort of gap it. So thought that would be useful for our listeners to understand.
Good.
What do you got, Duff?
I got roll and replace, or pick and roll and replace. So this is a pretty simple offensive set that uses the standard pick and roll, often at the top of the key, with a big down below, usually starting at the low block, opposite low block, if the pick and roll is going to be skewed to one side or the other. And as the pick and roll is occurring, the guy on the low block will come up sort of slowly, kind of move up to the top of the key, so it can be there as a pick and pop. And in the meantime, you have the big who's setting the screen up top rolling, but then if there's a swing of the ball, say the initial roll's not there, the ball could be swung to the rim, and then you have empty space. And so you could have a secondary post look from the roll and replace. So it's a pick and roll and replace. If you want to see it online, Villanova runs this really well. So yeah, roll and replace.
Excellent. I like that one. Cool. Okay, moving on. We're going to do a quick CYO update, right, Duff?
That's what I have in my script here, Dave.
Yeah, so CYO, we're in the thick of it. I believe we're 3 weeks into the season. I'm coaching 6th grade B girls CYO. It's been a lot of fun coaching my daughter, but it's great to see. I've made my way around the county on some weekends to see some friends' teams play. The kids are really into it. Seems like numbers are good. A lot of teams are in the mix. And And this is a fun time of year, right? I know it's raining outside and people are depressed with the rain, but it's a great excuse to go inside and watch some basketball. Okay, a few more updates. A couple things that are Marin specific and a couple things that are more broader, just sort of news about basketball that we thought it would be good to talk about. The first one's a really great story. Tara Vanderveer, Stanford women's basketball coach for many, many years, has set the record. She is now the winningest coach, Duff, in NCAA history, men or women.
Well deserved.
1,203 wins, breaking the record held by Coach Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K, who spent many years at Duke, prior to that Army. I've mentioned this way too many times. When I was in college, I was a practice player for the Stanford women's team. I was in practice every day with Coach Vanderveer. She had a huge impact on me. Attention to detail, motivation, leadership, just basketball knowledge and passion. Basketball nerds out there, if you really love to watch basketball and you love when we talk about glossary stuff or talk about the X's and O's, watch the Stanford women play. Watch the sets that they run, watch their motion, watch their fundamentals, watch their out of bounds plays. They're just really fun to watch. And Vanderveer does an amazing job. She has a fantastic staff. Kate Pay, Tempe Brown, Katie Stedding, great people and coaches. And then we got a few Marin connections, right? We have our guest, Brooke Smith.
I've heard of her.
You've heard of Brooke Smith. Jennifer Azey.
Heard of her.
Lives in Marin. Maybe we could get her on.
Not early 90s? Is that when?
She was early 90s or late 80s.
Yeah.
Late 80s. And
when
then obviously
first getting good, right? That was
Exactly.
kind of like, when they first got started. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it was early 90s. And then finally, we got Carly Amborn, who
Heard of her?
I'm
She went for 36.
that was my next line there is Carly. Last night, our San Domenico girls team had a great win against Lake Wilmerding, and Carly dropped 36.
Why don't we make her player of the week? We haven't done that in a while.
I think that's a great call. We've had a lot of great performances from high school kids around the county the last couple of weeks, but Carly was special. And I actually was texting with the Stanford assistant coach last night, and I gave her the news, and I said, "You got yourself a good one." And she said, "We know." So great job, Carly, and really huge congratulations to Tara. I just think it's really cool that the winningest coach in college basketball history right now is a woman. I think that's an awesome thing for the sport. So,
while we're talking about winning, we should also mention that friend of the pod, Mike Fulton, is closing in, I believe, on 600 career wins. So he's almost halfway there. He's been doing it for a long time and doing it very well.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I think
1,200 wins. Wow.
Yeah. I think Fulton's he's over 590. I think he's at 592 or 593. So I'm hoping we can get him to 600 this year, which is incredible. And our guest, as I mentioned in today's episode, Jonas Honick, had 700 wins at Branson. So, Duff, speaking of winning, I just want to shout out your Archie Williams boys had an unbelievable come from behind win last night.
Yeah, we don't like to make it easy. I won't go in too much in depth here because it might give me some angina, Dave. But we were down 21 points in the third quarter to Nevada. They were shooting the lights out. Josh DeVore, who's going to be a guest, we're going to interview him and his dad this weekend, actually. Yeah. He played a great game, especially the first half, hit 4 3-pointers from deep. And they were just kicking our butts. And I'm not exactly sure how we came back, Dave, but it was kind of one bucket at a time. And we had to battle through the fact that Owen Vugas picked up his fourth foul with a minute 30 into the third quarter. We brought him back with 3 minutes to go in the third, and he was able to finish the game with the 4 fouls. He said to us on the sideline, he said, "You have to trust me. Guys, you have to trust me."
And you did.
And we did. So, great win for us. Felt bad for Nevada because they played great. And, they probably deserved to win that game. But we'll take it. And so we're 4-1 in league. And so we have a reasonable chance of moving towards the playoffs. Just got to win a couple more games.
Coaches love to talk about body language and how important it is. And that's a perfect example, right? I wasn't at your game, unfortunately, but down 20 late in the game, I'm sure your kids were not hanging their heads saying, "Up, it's over," and thinking about what they were going to do that night. You just chip away at it. Yep. Don't give up.
They were getting in the passing lanes. That's what they were doing. They were getting in the passing
lanes. There you go.
And we were getting buckets off of the fast.
So great win. The league continues. It's just so fun. High school sports is so fun. And speaking of high school sports, I thought quick rankings update. I thought this was cool. I was looking at Max Preps this morning. The Branson boys are number 14 in the state overall, all divisions. So strength of schedule is one of the highest in the state. They beat Monterey Trail by 20 last week. That was a huge win. They're playing great and, very much in the running to be in the Open Division Championship tournament later in the season. So
they play Marin Catholic tonight. This is Wednesday, Dave. This podcast will probably air Thursday, but they play Marin Catholic tonight.
So another topic that we touch on in this episode with Honick, right, was you brought up, hey, how would you defend Branson? I thought that was great. Yeah. One other note, the top ranked Marin girls team in the state is Marin Catholic at number 77, and I expect them to climb. MC, the Max Preps rankings are not totally.
They're not all that, Dave.
Like, for example, we're ranked behind Mount Diablo in the Division 5 rankings. We beat Mount Diablo by 15, and yet they're ranked higher than we are, and we have a higher strength of schedule. So
where is LFG, our over 35 league team? Where are we ranked?
I think we're in the Alaska rankings. I don't think we're ranked in California. I wanted to point out the McDonald's All-American game rosters came out, Duff, and while there were no Marin kids on it, Brooke Smith's record remains intact. There were 3 prolific prep players, and our guest today, Jonas Honick, is one of the assistant coaches at Prolific Prep. And we talk about Prolific. It's a basketball academy up in Napa. So 3 players from the same high school team made the McDonald's All-American roster for the West. That was pretty amazing. Zoom Diallo, who's going to University of Washington, Darion Reed, who's going to Alabama, and Aiden Sherrill, who's also going to Alabama.
Good for them. Congratulations. And I still want to know what you get when you go to that banquet and whether they're serving anything other than Big Macs.
A lot of nuggets. I think you get a lot of nuggets. And then the last thing I wanted to point out, this is a not so happy update. I assume people saw that Warriors assistant coach Dejan Milojevic, I call him Decky, died suddenly of a heart attack at a team dinner in Salt Lake City. It was after a Warrior game. Just an awful development. Decky was, according to all the people who knew him, just a really warm, positive force. I loved seeing him. He was always sitting behind the bench and just devastating. And I thought Steve Kerr said some beautiful things in his press conference. I listened to Draymond Green's podcast yesterday. He talked about Decky and just what a positive force he was and what a great teacher of the game. The NBA canceled 2 Warriors games last week because the team was mourning. And also it just wasn't not only tragedy that he died, but it happened at a team event where players were around. So just my hearts go out to the Warriors family, to Decky's family. Just super sad, and just wanted to acknowledge it.
Dave, I'll pause for just a public service announcement as someone in the medical field. And I mentioned angina earlier in a joking manner, because if I actually had real angina, I would do something about it. And we don't know whether Decky had any symptoms ahead of time or not. But our demographic listening to this is a demographic that unfortunately is at pretty reasonable high risk of heart disease, and it may be sometimes rather silent. So if you are noticing that you go out for a jog or bike ride or whatever, and you're breathing harder, or if you have shoulder pain or neck pain, certainly chest pain, you don't want to wait to get that checked out, because the waiting could end up in being on the ground with a massive heart attack. So anyway, I think it's something for us all to be cognizant of, and, sad situation, but also a chance to remind our listeners to take care of themselves.
Yeah, no, great point. And Decky was 46. So, I know to some of you out there, that sounds old. That's not old. And that's so really, really sad. Thank you for that message, Duff. So with that, I'd like to get to our interview, because this was a really interesting discussion. Again, our guest, Jonas Honick, coached at Branson for all in 2 different stints over 30 years, 700 wins, 3 state titles, just an amazing basketball mind, one of the best people I know to just sit around and talk basketball with. And we get coffee every now and then, and we just talk hoop. And then all of a sudden 90 minutes are gone.
This is a fun interview. He had his pages of notes, and, after we were done with the interview, he's like, let's keep talking basketball.
Yeah.
And just a really, really fun conversation. And we just kind of scratched the surface of where we could go with it. Before we get to Jonas, I want to give a quick Kenya update, because Kenya's doing something different today, Dave.
Oh, wow.
She's got the stuffed tiger, right? And I think she wants to play fetch.
Okay. As long as she's not sitting on my feet, she's not snoring, she's not making any gastrointestinal noises. So I think this is a win for all of us.
Yep. So anyway, she's mixing it up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the interview and then we'll catch up after, Duff.
Yes, sounds good. Thanks, Dave.
Coach Jonas Honick. Hello, Coach.
Hey, Dave. Good to see you again, and thank you for inviting me. Duff, thank you as well.
Coach, you may or may not have been mentioned in a couple of these episodes.
Well, there's probably a lot to say, good and bad. That's for sure.
No, it's all been good. So we have Coach Jonas Honick here. He's an absolute legend in basketball. Coach, I'm gonna give your background to our listeners. I assume most of them know who you are, but and even those who know who you are, they might not know the whole story with you. First, listeners mentioned this about 7,000 times. I played for Coach Honick at Branson. He was my coach.
Yep.
And he reminded us every day that he is not a Marin native.
Although I've been here for close to 40 years. So
are you saying you've become soft over here?
yeah, I would say that I've probably become more Marin than I am. I spent most of my adult life in Marin County, and so I'm more Marin County than I am Western Pennsylvania now.
But grew up in Western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area. One small anecdote, Duff, you'll like this one. When I would turn the ball over in practice, Coach would say that I was Bubby Brister, which was, those of you over 40 who are NFL fans will know Bubby Brister. He was a turnover-prone quarterback for the Steelers.
I guess it's better than Cordell Stewart.
Better than Cordell. Okay. Coach went to Harvard, where he played Division I basketball in the Ivy League. And after Harvard, that's when you started teaching and coaching at Choate.
That's
right?
correct. Yeah.
Choate Rosemary Hall, which is a great boarding school back east. JFK go to Choate?
JFK did go there.
Other
Absolutely.
famous alums?
Yeah. Adlai Stevenson.
Yeah.
We had a few.
So Coach is and this was one of the things that I loved about playing for him. He's a great basketball mind, but he also was an academic. He taught history for years at Branson. Most popular class at Branson was his Vietnam class, was an amazing class. So we could talk about literature and history in addition to, zone press. Coach, you moved west to take the Branson coaching job in 1980.
That is correct. August of 1980, my wife and I moved out here. My wife is a graduate of Stanford University.
I've heard of it.
Law school.
Okay.
And that's the reason why we moved out here. And it was going to be 3 years and done. And then we expanded it to 4 years and then done.
Yeah.
What happened was it just a really kind of a weird thing. My wife was supposed to clerk for a federal judge. And the federal judge decided to step down, as they're prone to do, to go back into private practice and, quadruple his salary. And so my wife in the spring of 1983 was a Stanford graduate, A student, free agent. And so there were a lot of law firms that were, both here and in New York that were after her. So we decided to stay here and give it a little bit of a go. And we finally had some money in our pocket and started enjoying the Bay Area. And then 1 year led it 2 years to 3 years to 4 years. And then we became more accustomed to being here then.
And now 44 years later.
Yeah, we are still here. Yeah.
So you coached at Branson for, I believe it was 28 years, right? Did you leave in 08? The first time you left.
Yeah. That's right. After Oliver graduated in 08. Yeah.
08. And you took about an 8-year hiatus and then came back in 2016?
Yeah. And I wasn't really planning on doing that. I think once I finished, I was done. Anthony Thomas, the AD, worked on me for like 2 years or 3 years. And I sort of caved. I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing.
Well,
but we had some success.
Your teams, and I was at almost all your games from 2016 to 2020 when you had that run, and you had an unbelievable run with amazing talent, but then you did such a great job with them, and you guys were competing for Division I, open division, right?
Yeah. We actually should have probably been into the open division because we were the 2 seed in Division I. Yeah. Open division only took 6 teams that year. I think big reason was that we played really well at the Gridley tournament.
Yeah.
And beat Dublin. And I think really what it came down to was that I think James Logan might have hit a 3 at the buzzer from half court to beat Dublin, which then caused all kinds of changes. And, I don't know.
And ultimately you guys lost to James Logan,
we
right?
did. And we should have been a higher seed than they were.
Yeah. Yeah. And so our listeners who see Branson play today, and Branson's one of the top teams in the state, if not, probably on the list of the top teams in the country.
Absolutely.
That started with Coach coming back in 2016, and that run of teams has led to the success today. So when you stepped away from Branson the second time, since that time, you've been working with Prolific Prep, right? You've been are you assistant coach or advisor, or what would you call yourself?
Well, it's hard to say. I'm more of an advisor and assistant coach. I guess I'm listed as an assistant coach nowadays. So Bill McKnight, who's a Marin County guy, great guy, absolutely great guy, was the head coach of Prolific Prep going on his second tour a couple years ago, in which he had a Dan Bona that you mentioned, and a few other guys. And he and Philippe Doherty, who's basically one of the founders of Prolific Prep. Now, Philippe and I go way back to the days of Philippe was one of the founders of the Bay Area Hoosiers AAU team, and Oliver played for them.
Okay, Oliver McNally.
Yeah, Oliver McNally played for them, and I was actually helping coach a couple of the younger teams that were associated with the Bay Area Hoosiers. So Philippe said, "Look, if you're not doing anything, why don't you come up?" And I did, and Bill and I had known each other. Actually, I knew Bill from when he was a player, and then he coached and beat us actually when he was at TAM. Yeah, he had a couple good players then.
So Billy McKnight played for Redwood, is currently Steve Lavin's assistant at University of San Diego. A great human, great guy. I saw him this summer. His sister, Kirsten McKnight, great player, coaching at Westmont College. So Billy's great, and he was one of the early guys at Prolific Prep. We're going to get into more Prolific Prep stuff, but he's had an amazing run.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he's just, it's like one of my all-time favorite guys, for sure.
Yeah. So Coach won over 700 games in your Branson tenure over those many years. You have 3 state titles.
Yep.
You were 2008 California Division V Coach of the Year, and then in 2019, you were the Cal High Sports overall Coach of the Year in the state of California, which is quite an honor when you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of amazing in that, honestly, when you get into coaching, you certainly don't get into believing that you're going to, I want this award or I want that award or whatever. I think you just get into coaching to coach, and every now and then, I guess you get recognized. I guess probably helps to have a few friends in the media maybe that can push your name. I don't know.
I don't think
but
so.
Yeah.
I don't think
I mean, it was amazing to be named Coach of the Year. Was actually pretty amazing thing.
Our first Coach of the Year on the podcast, I believe, right? Have we missed a Coach of the Year and not recognized it?
So we're on a nice run here. We had the only McDonald's All-American, and now we got our first Coach of the Year. I don't know if anybody else in Marin has been overall Coach of the Year in California. We'll follow.
It should be though.
Yeah. We should have a staff of researchers and statisticians. So, as I've mentioned many times, I played for Coach Honick, one of the most impactful figures in my life. I learned more about the game from you than I even realized. There's nobody better at breaking down a game. One of my favorite memories of Coach was March Madness, the Thursday, Friday of March Madness, the first weekend. You won't remember this, but I do. When all those games are on, and I was in the Branson library, and there was a TV, and I was watching the game, and you walked by, you poked your head in, and you watched the game for 30 seconds, and you said, "I can't believe Indiana is trailing screens," and then you walked out. And I was just sitting there dumbfounded, like, I'd been watching this game for 10 minutes. I didn't notice that they were trailing screens. But so it was that kind of attention to detail that you had, where I love going to Warrior games with you and watching games and just hearing you. I just wanted to be a fly on the wall listening to you analyze a game. Nobody does it better. And your teams were always amazing second half teams because you were so good at making halftime adjustments.
Yeah, and I think, the halftime adjustments were not about you need to play harder. I mean, probably people thought that.
Yeah.
For good reason.
Right.
But the reality of it is that, all right, let's try to analyze what's going on and what kind of adjustments that we need to make, offensively and defensively. And let's see if we can make these adjustments. And oftentimes that, I mean, I remember being down, just recently, with Vic's team, we were down 15 early to Redwood in the MCAL final. And, we had to make a lot of adjustments. I mean, Redwood, first of all, was really good. And they were really well coached by Steve Campagno.
Yeah.
And they were playing basically at home. And they came out and just, punched us right in the mouth.
Yeah.
This is going to sound a little arrogant, but I thought that we were still 15 to 20 points better than they were at that time. And I said, okay, we're down 15. We're still 20 points better. So let's win the game by 20 between now and the end of the game. And we won by 5. Actually, we didn't because they hit a shot at the end.
Didn't Peyton?
Peyton hit a massive shot.
Hit a huge shot in the corner. That was a packed game. That was a really fun game.
Yeah.
But you were so good at just, I never felt like we were out of the game when I played for you, even when we were playing in hostile environments in NorCal against bigger teams. Yeah, Duffy.
Oh,
Yeah.
finish your thought. But I was going to ask, and maybe you're getting there, Dave,
Yeah.
but how did you develop that, the attention to detail, and to be able to recognize, what a team was doing, make adjustments? Because it's got to be, because there's always the risk that you over adjust, right? And
Right.
there's always the risk that you see the adjustment, but you can't communicate it in the time you have, and you can't get your players to execute it. So obviously there's you developed this over a long period of time, I would think.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's say, what's a motivating factor? Fear, maybe. Fear of being out coached, fear of being out prepared, fear of not having my guys ready the way they need to be ready. I think, I don't know if fear is the right word, but I think also just sort of like maybe ego and pride. Want to make sure that my guys were as well prepared as they could be, and trying to get them ready for most situations. And if my guys weren't ready for any particular situation, could be a diamond one press because we hadn't practiced it, or a 2-2-1, or a 1-3-1, or somebody throw some junk at us. I mean, Coach Pirro went blocks one against us with David. Listen, I had not anticipated that, and it took us. This was Ryan Duck's team, and Nick Price. I mean, it took us like a whole half to make an adjustment, and I'm trying to coach it as we're going, but I got caught with my pants down there. I mean, we weren't really well prepared for it. And I think it was that sort of stuff that I just try to be ready for all sort of, circumstances that can occur during a game. And, I don't know, the attention to detail, I don't know, maybe even some of it comes from teaching, details are important even when you're teaching that, I'm trying to teach some overall important concepts at the same time. Details matter as to why events occur the way they occur.
You and Duff, it's a great question. It's a good segue into kind of the first topic I want to talk about, because I'll just close that out by saying that your team's hallmarks were disciplined, fundamental, tough, skilled, right? Defensive rotations were perfect. Your teams were really well coached, and you had great basketball IQ in your players. And I think some of that was you attracted players who wanted to play for you and had good basketball IQ, but you also instilled that in them. So let's fast forward from your Branson days, where you coach guys like me who had no athletic ability but liked the game, to today, where you're at Prolific Prep. And to our listeners who don't know Prolific Prep, it's a basketball academy in Napa.
Right.
And it's one of the top 5 schools in the country?
Yeah, I mean, I think
overall.
I think right now they're ranked third not in ESPN. ESPN dropped us to 7, and I think Max Preps has us at 3.
Okay, so one of the best schools in the country. The level of talent at Prolific Prep, everybody who's playing on that team is going to be playing in college somewhere. Likely have multiple NBA players on your roster today. Is that fair to say?
I think that's fair to say. This roster probably has 3, if not 4 NBA players on it, potential NBA players.
So how do you deal with? I mean, you're this old school guy, Western Pennsylvania, Harvard. You're playing old school fundamental basketball, and now you're dealing with modern players, where the game is much different today than it was when we were at Branson 40 years ago. Talk about the difference in coaching today and the level of talent that you're dealing with at Prolific Prep versus coaching me 40 years ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah, so that's a good question. First of all, I'm not the head coach.
Okay.
And that makes a massive difference. So I am not the one who decides playing time, touches. I don't call plays. All I have to be is basically supportive of the guys. And I think the guys kind of appreciate that. So it's a completely different role, and it's a good role for
And
me.
are you supportive? Because
100%.
Coach, it's a safe space to talk about. You were tough. You were, if you made a mistake, if I made a mistake on the court, I was informed in no uncertain terms that I made a mistake. So as the assistant coach, are you getting on guys, or are you the positive one?
I want to preface his answer. I looked it up. Bobby Brister 81 career touchdowns, 78 career interceptions.
Thank you.
Yeah, so he's 50-50.
50-50.
Yeah,
Dave,
yeah.
50-50 guy.
50-50 Dave.
My
Yeah.
field goal to turnover percentage is probably similar in that. Okay,
Yeah,
anyway.
I wouldn't go there.
Thank you for that, Duffy.
You know. Okay, so yeah, no, I mean, yeah, and it may surprise you, but and actually, I think it might be fair to say that I certainly coached a little differently, actually a lot differently, the second time around
Yeah, no, I noticed
than I
that.
did the first time. In fact, Dave Liss and Ryan Duck and Wes Newhouse.
West Newhouse, yeah.
Yeah, a few of those guys came to one of our early practices, I think over Thanksgiving or something like that.
Yeah.
And they were just looking at me like, Coach, are you feeling okay?
What?
You know,
Who are you?
Who are you? Right. look at these guys, a different group of guys, you know?
Yeah.
So you have to be, and you know, the reality of it is the prolific guys aren't a whole lot different. I mean, you know, they all have, as touted as they are, they want to get better. They want to be coached for the most part.
Yeah.
They have insecurities, some, and I mean, it may not show.
Right.
And you know, they need support because you know, they have some doubts as well. And it's easy for me to, you know, ask them how they're doing, you know, how they feel mentally, how they feel physically, you know, what have you been working on?
Yeah.
The other thing is that I can be really encouraging, you know, because I mean, guys pass up shots that they shouldn't, even at that level, or guys are pressing, trying to do too much at that level. So I get to be able to do that. And then I also get to be able to spend some time with the coaches and say, okay, here are some things that I'm observing that, you know, if you want, because I can't make that decision for them.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you see the game today? We talk about this all the time, right? It's a 5-out, positionless, free flowing motion,
which I think is good.
And by the way, we ran 5-out when I was played for you 30 years ago, right? I think it was called 3, right? That was our 5-out. Do you think the players today are better skill wise than they were back in the day, fundamental wise?
I think so. I do. I think because, and I'll tell you why. And then I'm gonna go to my first thing that I wrote down. Actually, one of the first things I wrote down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they're really good. They're really, really good skill wise because there you have a lot of individual trainers.
Right.
I mean, you should see.
Yeah.
I mean, the prolific guys have high level professional trainers.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, AJ DeBanza, who's the number one kid in the junior class. I mean, you know, he's getting trained by guys who train NBA guys.
Yeah.
You know,
And listeners, he's the number one. He's the number one kid in the junior class in the country.
in the country. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's really good. Like, I mean, he's really good. And, you know, same thing with Tyron Stokes, but same thing with all these other guys. You know, they all have trainers. You can rest assured that Cooper Flagg, you know,
Of course.
has a lot of people working with him.
But do they have a feel for the game?
All right. So let me get to this.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a phrase that you always love to use.
Yes.
Have a feel
Okay.
for the
So
game.
what I wrote down was, if I can find it. Yes. Okay. So there's a guy by the name of, and you'll appreciate this stuff, Arsene Wenger. Now, who's Arsene Wenger? Arsene Wenger is the former coach of the Arsenal Football Club in the English Premier League. Legendary, right? And in fact, they're the only team, I think, he coached the only team that never lost a game in the Premiership, right? So he's a legendary coach. And I've been looking for like my whole life for a phrase to sum up what I kind of like believe, and I can never, you know, whittle it down. And so here's what he said. The game itself is a good teacher. All right, so what did he mean by that? So he says, you know, the guys today are really good. Right? They're really skilled. They all come up through the academies. They all get the training. He said, but they don't go out in the park and play anymore.
Exactly.
And I've been complaining to Isaiah, my son, for years that the problem with players today, and it's the only problem I have with them, because I think they're really, really good and they really care. And they're not a whole lot different from the guys from the past. They don't play any pickup.
Yeah.
The prolific guys don't play pickup. And I thought that one thing that, and Isaiah told me this, he said, the one thing that I think distinguished Branson from other places, and I think Archie Williams actually had that for years when it was Drake, you know, was that they played pickup. We played pickup all the time.
Absolutely.
And the pickup teaches you so many things. Like, you know, teaches you pecking order. You know, game situations, 9-9, and the wrong guy shoots it. or the wrong guy has the ball in his hands. You know, and you want to stay on the court. And of course, then you catch a lot of crap, not from a coach, but from your peers, you know. And so I think that if there's anything missing from today's players, it's that they don't play pickup.
Another recurring theme we talk about a lot. And we had Tom Foser and John Granucci on, and we talked about that. And
Tom Foser is probably one of the greatest pickup players in the history of Marin County.
Absolutely. By the way,
probably the greatest is, we got to mention his name. Buck Chavez, right? I mean, you know, come on.
Yeah, no, and John Granucci said it. I love the way he phrased it. He just said you got to kind of carve out a space for yourself on the court when you're playing against. And I remember, Coach, when I was at Branson, you would have us play pickup with, we called them the old guys. Yeah, they were all probably 25. You know, it's funny what old is when you're
right. Exactly.
But you have a bunch of alums come down on Saturday mornings and play pickup, and we would show up and play against them, and they'd kick our ass, and they'd push us down, and
they weren't better players.
They weren't better players, but they were tougher, and you kind of learn how to find a space for yourself. And I've many times been in pickup games where it's tight, and if you lose, you got to sit for 30 minutes. You better win, and I'm not taking that shot. I'm giving it to Duffy to take that shot.
Right.
Because look, the bottom line is Duffy's a better shooter than I am, so we got to be smart.
Exactly.
I'm going to need a screen though, Dave.
We'll do some get action. I'll pass it to you, and I'll set you a screen.
Hey, come on, with Dave's handles, he can get into the paint and then kick out, and you just got a warm up shot from three.
AJ defense has nothing on me.
No, nothing. AJ has nothing on you. But the other thing about and take, am I allowed to use Drake?
Of course.
Okay. Because I don't.
Yeah. Yes.
And I don't really want to insult anybody. I really don't.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to be facetious at all.
We call it Drake. It was Drake before it was.
But there was like an oral history there.
Yeah.
And by that I mean, the Chavez boys ran it, and they passed it on for another generation. And passed it on to another generation. And it, there was a reason why those guys had an edge on everybody.
Yeah.
Because it was a cultural thing too. And that oral history of learning how to play passed on from the OGs, right, down to the next generation, the next generation, that is just getting lost. And I think that, if you talk to college coaches and you talk to pro coaches, the whole idea of feel for the game, all you have to do is look at Jonathan Kuminga. And I don't like to pick on Jonathan.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a great feel right now.
No.
He still has to learn how to read people, understand games, understand situations. And, he's probably a little behind there. But I'm sure Jonathan didn't play a whole lot of pickup.
Well, there's a difference too, and I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, but when you think about, because a counter argument would be, okay, these kids they're playing AAU, right? They're playing club basketball all year round. But when you're playing in an AAU game and you're in a gym with a bunch of D1 coaches looking at you, you're trying to showcase your skills. You don't really care about winning that game. Is that fair to say?
There's some of that for sure.
Whereas playing pickup, you want to win, so you can stay on the court. It's
just different in a lot of other ways too. Like, I don't have a problem with AAU. I think really AAU can really help people. I think it helped Jace Butler this summer.
Sure,
he had a terrific AAU season, and the reason why everybody kind of got really excited about him, including Illinois, was that he started making shots, and so he had a chance to showcase that he can shoot from three, given his body and his skill set and stuff like that. You look like you could be a Big Ten player.
Carly Amborn, who plays for me at San Domenico, had an unbelievable AAU season. She got all these offers because coaches saw her and they saw her play with really good players and saw how she complements them.
Right.
And that was huge for her.
Yeah. So, yeah. And so, I think there's real value in it.
Yeah.
At the same time, if you play pickup on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you play for 3 hours or so, which was not unusual, 2.5, 3 hours, and you get a lot of time on the court, right? And you spend that 3 hours getting touches and running up and down and reading the game. Whereas an AAU game, you might even get 2 games a day, sometimes, right? But really, how much playing time are
Great point.
But you're spending an equal amount of time.
And you're on the court for 8 minutes or 10 minutes.
Yeah, and you're not on the court for very much. So it hurts you in that respect. especially if you're not one of the featured guys.
And you're driving to and from Vacaville,
Yeah,
Fairfield,
right.
and
Yeah,
you're
just-
stopping at Chick-fil-A on the way
Right.
and on the way back, for like 17 minutes of playing time total.
Right. Exactly.
For a lot of kids, it's like that.
And,
right?
and for a lot of kids, it's like that. And you know what? I hate to, but again, I still like AAU, and there's value in it. But I think you don't play as much as you need to play.
Yeah.
You really just don't.
So when you're at
Almost sound
Prolific,
like an old man there.
no, it's great. Hey,
Okay.
we're all old men here,
Yeah,
Coach.
yeah.
Yes, Duff.
I want to now hijack this interview.
Good.
We're going to play Branson tomorrow. Our strategy is we're going to let Jace shoot and we're going to let TT shoot. Can you take down that strategy and build up a new one for us?
Well, I think that you have to decide
Duff is
that.
going rogue.
I think what you have to decide is that actually, I'll do a little name dropping.
Go for it.
All right. Prolific on Sunday in Springfield, Mass. is playing Montverde.
Okay, that's Cooper Flag.
That's Cooper Flag. And 4 other really good players.
Right.
One going to Georgia.
Yeah.
Right. One guy who's going to go to Baylor who'll probably be their starting guard next year. Right. Another guy who's not signed, but he'll probably, he's a top 25 kid. Right. And having a kid that's going to Indiana as a shooter. Right. I mean, they're really, really good.
Yeah.
All right. So the question is, what do you do? Who
Pick your poison.
Who do you want to beat you? Right? So you play Cooper Flag really hard, and do you play McNeely, who's going to Indiana, who's a shooter, really hard?
Yeah.
Right? And back off on the other guys and say, okay, you guys have to beat us. In the meantime, you're letting a guy, so like, what do you do with Branson? Do you play Chi really, really hard? And do you play Jace really, really hard and say, Finley, you're going to have to beat us tonight? Or one of the other guys, Joaquin, or,
Yep.
I don't even know who else. Who's their 5th starter now?
DJ.
A DJ starting for them, right?
They're so deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, right. But so honestly, I'd probably, I would concentrate on, on their 2 elite players and then try to have one of the guys who's not used to being, the man,
Right.
be the man that night. And, maybe you go triangle him too. Not that I want to give you any advice,
I think we're open to anything.
but,
and we just want to hold them to less than 10 alley oops.
We played our Santa Monica. We played Long Beach Poly last week,
oh, geez, I
San
imagine
Diego.
they're just unbelievable.
and they're
Right.
it's a 4,000, 5,000
Yeah.
student school.
Yeah.
We're a 300 student school, right? And we watched video on them, and Fulton and I were talking about, like, all right, they're all really good. They're all really athletic. They all can shoot.
Right.
In the grand scheme, we'd rather they beat us from the outside than they could penetrate and get to the basket.
Yeah.
So our game plan was just play
Pack it
kind
in.
of pack line defense,
Yeah.
and beat us from the outside.
Yeah. Get in the gaps.
And we owe it. If your player didn't have the ball, you have a foot in the key. And the first
Yeah.
quarter, they didn't know what to do. They were totally confused. They clearly had not watched any video on us. They didn't care who we were. They thought they were going to win the game by 50 by showing up.
Yeah.
And we were up at the end of the first quarter, and they were totally confused. Now, they ended up beating us by 15. But we basically said, okay, in the grand scheme, we'd rather they beat us from the outside than beat us from the inside. So
Right.
we're screwed either way. They're just better. But we kind of kept in the game that way. So sometimes stuff you just got to.
Yeah. And maybe you play those 2 guys hard, and the 3 other guys, you gap it.
Yeah.
And of course, if they are taking shots from the outside, you got to rebound it. And you don't want no live ball turnovers.
Yeah.
Right, against them. And you better get back on defense.
Yeah, they're so fast.
So
Yeah.
a quick glossary for our listeners, and I talk about this all the time with our Santa Monica girls, which I got from Coach Honick. Live ball turnover versus a dead ball turnover. A live ball turnover is you throw a pass, it's intercepted, the other team's going down the other way for a layup. A dead ball turnover is a travel, or you throw the ball out of bounds. So it's a turnover, but the other team is inbounding the ball. You have a chance to set up your defense. Live ball turnovers are really bad.
They're killer.
They're killers, especially against really athletic, really fast teams like Branson. So when they press, they want those live ball turnovers. You're much better getting a 10-second call, dead ball turnover.
100%. Take the 10-second call. Take the 5-second call.
Right.
Right, on the out of bounds, and at least have a chance to set up your defense.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, doesn't change much it doesn't change much on any level. I mean, we're talking about the exact same stuff for Sunday's game against Montverde.
Yeah.
No live ball turnovers, or else they are so fast.
Yeah.
Right. And this team that we played a few weeks ago, Link Academy, who's really, really good. I mean, their guards are unbelievable.
Yeah.
Right. And this kid Johnson, Dre Johnson's a top 5 kid in the country. He's so fast. And if you have a live ball turnover, it's a layup down the other end, But look at the Warriors. Why do the Warriors get in trouble? Live ball turnovers,
Absolutely.
Just an absolute killer.
That Nuggets game, I mean, they were up
I know.
18, 5 minutes left. They're just, the turnovers were killers in that game.
That's
That's another topic.
Right. We can spend all day on that.
I want to get back to,
Yeah.
so I want to close the loop on prolific.
Hijacking is over.
No, that's fine.
I retreat,
No,
but it's very helpful.
That was a great tangent.
No, I'm good with that.
Great tangent. Okay, so Coach, I want you to drop some names here. You
right.
and I get coffee sometimes, and I love hearing about the coaches that come through the door at Prolific to recruit. And you're the guy. You've got the gray hair, right? You can talk hoop with anybody. So you're a perfect guy to sit down with Bill Self and Mick Cronin. But so talk about Calipari. Who else has come through, and some of your favorite stories?
So I'll give you a funny story, right? And that's, Coach Miller, formerly of Arizona, who's now
Sean Miller.
Yeah, Sean Miller, who's now at Xavier. And we had a kid his kid Trey Green, who was with us last year, who's at Xavier. So that's why he came out a few times, just to make sure, they just do that. So he's a Pittsburgh guy.
Of course, went to Pitt, right?
Went to Pitt, and they had good teams there. So I started talking to him. He said, "Where are you from?" I said, "New Kensington, Pennsylvania." He goes, "Oh," and I said, "My high school coach was Mike Rice." Okay, and he just burst out laughing. I said, "Why?" He goes, "Mike Rice was my first AAU coach."
Oh, wow.
Because Mike Rice's son and Sean Miller were the same age.
Okay.
Now, Mike Rice's son was also a Division I coach, if you know anything about him.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was at Robert Morris, and then he went to Rutgers.
Yeah.
And then he got let go by Rutgers.
Okay.
There was a video of him kicking a ball at a player or something like that.
Okay.
And, of course, I looked at it, and knowing his dad, saying,
What's the deal? Or what's
the problem?
What's the issue?
Like, you know his dad.
Right.
So Mike Rice actually he's an interesting guy. He ended up being the head coach at Duquesne and Youngstown State. And then he became the TV analyst for the Portland Trailblazers. And Steve Javy, who's a pretty famous official,
Sure.
actually ran Mike out of the game, threw Mike Rice out of an NBA game. The only announcer that I think that's ever happened to. Now, this is my high school coach.
Yeah.
So, and believe it or not, I'm sort of moderate compared to what Mike was. Let's just put it that way.
I have a shocked look on my face, listeners.
Yeah. I mean, he played at Duquesne and was known to be, quote, fiery. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Spin some vinegar.
So
that was actually a funny story. Yeah.
But that's where you're great, right? Because you have that wealth of knowledge, and you can relate to these guys.
And Calipari was really good friends of a guy that I played basketball with, this kid, Jimmy Elias, who was also, he was an assistant at Robert Morris when, Calipari's from Moon Township. Robert Morris is right. That's where it is. And so those guys knew each other from their 5-star camp days.
Okay.
And so, we were able to I was able to break the ice there and talk about them. I mean, they're sort of contemporaries as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
So actually that's a good segue. You're talking about you as a player. Let's talk about you as a player real quick. Because I've seen you play. You played against us. You were really good. And even though when you were playing with us, you were, I don't know, how old are you? 40 or something?
Yeah, I was probably pretty old. Yeah.
Whatever. Did you get recruited out of high school?
I did, by a few teams.
What kind of player were you? Like, what was were you just hard nosed, take the charge?
Yeah, I was sort of an energy guy. I also was probably a better ball handler than I am now, obviously, or was that, when you played, a little bit better ball handler, decent passer, probably, certainly a pass first, shoot second guy. I probably made a mistake there, for my own development. I mean, I had games in high school where I was like 8 for 8 and 7 for 7 from the field and stuff like that.
Got to take more shots.
I didn't take enough shots. So I could shoot. I didn't shoot enough. I don't know exactly why that was, your own insecurities, maybe. I don't know. But maybe just the way we played. And then, so I had a couple like University of Delaware, Marshall University. I'll tell you a quick story about Marshall in a second. Rice University. And actually, believe it or not, because Mike Rice was good friends with the head coach at the University of Wisconsin, I had an offer there.
Oh, wow.
They weren't very good.
Okay.
They were last in those
big-
days.
it's Big Ten.
Yeah, it was Big Ten, but they weren't very good then.
So how'd you end up at Harvard?
It's a long story there too. My brother went to Harvard,
Okay.
and he played football there, and he was an all Ivy football player, and so I was on their radar, mainly because
And who was the coach at Harvard?
Seth Sanders.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and so that's how I got to know Don Nelson, because they played together with the Celtics, and
Right.
they actually ran a camp. I've known Don Nelson since I was a freshman in college.
So your
Yeah.
whole basketball ethos and your strategy, your style of play, was that formed by your high school coach, by Satch Sanders? Like, how did you learn the game to be you're so analytical about it? Where did that come from?
I think I put a lot of time in, because good or bad, it may be bad. Winning was important to me, and maybe it was way too important, I think, in retrospect, but we can talk about that.
Yeah.
And I just felt that a lot of times, like the Harvard teams our Harvard teams, my first 2 years were really, really good, but we lost a lot of close games against some really good teams.
Yeah.
And, it was always something small, a breakdown
Right.
at the wrong time. And the other team's talent would then take over or something like that. And I think that when it came to coaching, I don't know, I just felt that as a player, I didn't pay enough attention to detail, which made me not as good as I should have been. And I think that when I first started coaching, I'm going back to my Choate days,
Yeah.
that I wanted to make sure that my guys had information that I didn't have. I think that's probably what motivated.
I mean,
I'm trying to be honest.
you were, every possession mattered when I played for you, right? I mean, like, and part of that was, there was no shot clock.
And I will say this: the game is better with a shot clock, and it's better with a 3-point.
Yeah.
And it's better for everyone, like teams on all levels.
It's just more fun.
And it's more fun, and it's just better. You have to coach. Back in the old days, it was easy being a coach. Like it's when I was at Choate.
Yeah.
Let's say the hypothetical, right? You're good at hypotheticals, aren't you? You're up 5 minutes left.
Okay.
And I learned this by playing against Princeton.
Yeah.
Right? Game's over.
Yeah. Just hold the ball.
Yeah.
We've got, first thing,
You got good ball handlers.
first
good
thing I
passers.
learned was from Princeton, take a minute off. You can hear Pete Carrill, take a minute off. So if they're up 5 with 7 to go, you're not winning. You're just not going to win, right? Because they're going to take a minute off and then get a layup, right? Or the second line was take a minute off, nothing but a layup, right? So now let's think about it. You go up 5, now you're up 7. To lose, it's a 4-possession game because there's no 3-point line.
Right.
Right.
And there's no shot clock.
And you can drop back into a 2-3 zone and not give up layups.
Right.
Because if
Pack
you
it
give up,
right.
if you give up a long jumper, who cares? Still 2 points.
Right.
Like it was easy. If you had guards, and guards can make foul shots.
Foul
Yeah.
shots, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
variable, right? Yeah.
Right. But I mean, look at Dean Smith with all that talent. He still went four corners.
corners.
Go ahead, Phil Ford. Take over.
Well, I tell this story all the time.
And it's just, it was easier.
I mean,
It was
Coach,
just easier.
my
More fun to watch now, right?
Oh, 100 times. And it's better to coach. You have to be a better coach today than you did back then. Because the guys miss foul shot. Oh, it's not on me. My strategy was fine.
Yeah.
Actually.
I mean, we would win games. My Branson team. We went to the NorCal championship, right? Kept running into Emeryville, but
Yeah.
we would beat teams that were so much bigger and so much more athletic and skilled than we were because we were so disciplined. We'd hold the ball for 40 seconds, get a layup. They'd come down, shoot a quick one. We'd hold it for 40 seconds. I mean, our time of possession
Right.
was, I know it's a football concept.
It's the old Steeler ground game with Franco Harris. when I was growing up.
Exactly. But we could compete with anybody because we were but you had to have the discipline and the decision making, and you had to, and that's kind of, it was one of the
But we
questions
had
I
really
had.
good guards when you were there.
We were really good. Yeah. Charles Hovler was unbelievable. Hans Keeling. We had
Those guys were, they were Division I athletes.
they were amazing. They were amazing.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing. They made those layups, or when they took the shot, they made it. But I knew.
But your senior year, I mean, we had
Yeah.
4 Stanford guys on the team.
We were smart. That's a
Right.
good point.
And it wasn't like Lars's that was shabby.
That's true.
You know,
That's true.
Being a UW guy.
So speaking of those Branson years, you built these tough teams, and how do you motivate kids to produce for you? Because you have this. There's a balance, right? Of I don't know, punishment's the right word, but so, okay, you make a mistake, you're coming out, or you make a mistake. Hey, coach is going to get on you, but he's going to let you play through it. Like, how do you strike that balance of getting the most out of a team, balancing kind of punishment versus inspiration or motivation? I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a hard balance, right?
No, it is, and I think that if there's anything I regret is that I had a hard time at times accepting players where they were at that particular time in their development as a person and as a player. And I probably tried to rush it and push it and try to get people to where I thought they could be.
Yeah.
Instead of just letting the process play out. I think if there was an adjustment I made the second time around, was that I think I was a lot more patient about that.
Yeah.
You know, I think as a coach, you just have to say, this is who the guy is, and we're going to make the best out of it.
Totally.
I don't think I did that very well often enough. And I think that was a real mistake. I think that with the shot clock today and the 3-point line, I think it allows you to be a little bit more, I hate to use the word tolerant, but patient maybe, and allow for more growth to take place organically than with, with the shot clock. And tangent, you can cut this part off if you want. Mick Cronin's going bonkers down in UCLA right now.
Yeah.
Because his guys are like, he has this vision of how he wants his team to play, and his guys are not playing that way. And, it's like, I don't know if he has the group of guys that can actually play the way he wants them to play.
Huh.
So what do you do?
Yeah.
Other than melting down and losing to Cal and Stanford back to back at home at Poly.
As a Stanford fan, I'll take it.
Hey, no, and Stanford, they're really well coached.
Yeah, they are.
They're really well coached.
They are.
So I think that today, I think you have to, and I think it should have always been the case, that you have to allow people to play through mistakes and not have them looking over at you. I think plus it's no fun. Like, if you're always on edge as a player, you're not going to play your best.
One of the hardest things, I think, as a coach, and I've learned this as a coach, and I think back to you all the time, is instilling in your kids the knowledge of what's a good shot and what's a great shot, right? And so we want kids to feel empowered to shoot and have confidence
and play.
Exactly.
You have to have a sense of empowerment.
Absolutely. But, Duffy and I are on the court together. The ball swings to me. I have an open shot. Cool. I could do one more to Duffy in the corner. He's a much better shooter than I am. That's a great shot. Mine's a decent shot, right?
Well, because you can teach next one, right? I'm sure you use that language, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you can teach next one, right? And that means Curry can even do a next one.
Sure.
Right. If you can get him to buy into that, which, he would, right? Or Clay. Go ahead.
Duffy, go.
The shot I don't like from you, Dave, is when you go into the lane, contested mid range, and then you just you jump and you just go sideways on your jump.
Yeah.
Well, that's a moving target.
Let's spend like a half hour talking
That's
about
a really hard shot for
my
anyone to
bad shots.
hit.
Yeah.
But, I would say what makes it, because we spent a lot of time this year with our young team on shot selection, and we want less than 5 mid-ranges a game, even if they're open. Like, we want, like a lot of people say with analytics, we want 3s and 2s. Corner 3s are better. But the film helps so much. You can clip it and just show them over and over again, like, look how that's a contested 2. You're off balance. And of course it doesn't go in. And then you look at the shot chart and your effective field goal percentage, and you show them the number. Like, this is how often we score when we shoot an open 3. This is how often we score when it's a contested 2. You do that enough, smart kids will get it.
We talk a lot as well with our team about how, we could bring the ball up the court, pass to the wing, have them shoot a 3. That's not a great shot. We could bring it up, pass, swing, get it into the paint, kick back out. Same exact shot. That's a great shot. You've made the defense work. You've got some touches.
Yeah, I still use this line with the prolific guys and maybe the coaching staff more than the players, and that is that it's easy to settle for the quick and easy. Right?
Say it all the time.
Really, but you can shoot yourself. I mean, you could be down 12-0 early if you're settling for quick and easy. So I think points in the paint, and I think if you look at the Warriors this year, I think one of the big weaknesses is that they don't get enough points in the paint. And it looked like they were making an adjustment to get points in the paint for a couple games, and then I guess they got away from. I didn't watch the game last night.
Yeah,
but I guess they got away from it last night. But I think you have to get paint touches. Right?
Absolutely.
And that's on all levels. You just really have to attack the paint. So the mid range, I wouldn't consider myself old school, but I have a little different take on it. And I'm not so sure I want my guards going in all the time and getting challenged by big guys and getting knocked on the ground.
Yeah.
So if you're in the paint and you pull up, or if it's a little floater, then I'm okay with that, because maybe I have a chance for an offensive rebound if the defense comes up, so it's like a pat,
Yeah.
And like Jalen Suggs, I was watching those guys play, and they had a chance to beat, I can't remember who it was, Boston, somebody good.
Plays for the Orlando Magic.
Yeah. And last play of the game, gets the ball in the wing, passes up an open jumper, has no mid-range game or no pull-up game or goes right into traffic, and nothing happens. Yeah. And they lose.
Right.
It's because he had no other option. And
you got to keep him honest. Yeah,
and I think you need another option. Yeah. And so I'm not necessarily saying it's a two dribble pull-up, although Mount Vert kids do that. But I think that points in the paint and is a little different than just layups.
Yeah.
Because the layups are sort of like uncontested layups. Okay, fine. But contested layups versus a clean look from 12 or 10 or somebody's I kind of like the clean look.
Fulton and I are instilling in our guards that a pull-up jumper is a good thing, because our kids tend to try to drive in and shoot off balance shots.
Yeah, I mean,
and
into traffic and
in traffic. Yeah.
But you want it in the paint or around the paint, not 18 feet.
No,
Correct.
exactly.
Correct.
Right. I mean, and that's been true. Like the worst shot is your foot on the line. Yeah, or the line too. Right. Okay. And I agree with that.
Yeah. So, Coach, our teams at Branson years ago, we ran really simple frameworks on offense. We ran 5 out, we ran flex, and we ran pass and screen away.
Yeah.
That was our offense, right? Later days, when you came back and I would go to your games, and maybe this was you adjusting to the new normal. Maybe some of it was your Studley assistant coach, Stevie Johnson, but you guys had more sets.
We did. A combination of the quick hitters were primarily Stevie's responsibility.
Yeah.
I just sort of said, we need some quick hitters, and he would come up with them.
Yeah.
I was more of the guy that wanted the 5 out with the DHOs and some action like that.
Right.
Empty, I think could be used on all levels.
Explain what empty is.
Okay, so just empty out a side and run
clear
pick and roll, clear out, and then you can run a pick and roll on that side from either way. But I love the way the Warriors are doing it. They're sending Clay through, and then they're sending him off a double. They just loop him around and then play out of that. And I think it's really hard to cover. I think 5 out's really hard to cover. Although we also did a lot of 4 out motion with the guy in the dunker spot, which even gives you more space. And it's being used in the pro. Russell Westbrook is playing in the dunker spot a lot.
Yeah.
It's a good spot for him.
And the dunker spot,
great spot.
Listeners, along the baseline, kind of used to call it the short corner. Yeah. Right. And so it's
language has changed a little.
Yeah. People who have more athletic ability than I do can theoretically dunk from there.
It could also be the power layup spot too.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah. No, and I think it's a good place.
It's the floater spot.
And it's a good place to hide somebody who can finish, and it's not a great ball handler,
Right.
you know,
Right. Exactly.
but who's an effective player, you know.
Otherwise, yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's interesting. So related to this, we had Kevin Vasquez on, who's Redwood assistant coach, great guy. His son Jake's a great player for Redwood, and Kevin played at Davis for Bob Williams, who was a
Who's legendary.
phenomenal coach.
Yeah.
And one of the things I asked Kevin, like, what did you learn from Bob? And one of the things that he pointed out was every day in practice, they would spend 15 minutes doing just sets, 5-on-0, running through their sets. He said later in the season, whenever they needed a bucket, they had repped it so much they could get a good shot. It was all manufactured. It was all quick hitters, but he'd run it so much. And it's interesting. Like, what's your philosophy on manufacturing shots like that with quick hitters versus just teaching the kids read and react?
Honestly, I think you need to do both.
Yeah.
If you can. I think you do need sets, and I think you do need sets out of organization. I think the hard thing for kids, at our level and high school level, certainly, MCAL level, I think the hard thing for guys to realize is that plays are designed to create structure, and you play out of it, and they never get to the next part. They think that, I think, and maybe you see this more often than let's say some of the MCAL teams, boys teams, is that there's a play supposed to produce an end result, and it doesn't always happen.
Right.
And so, like, okay, now what do you do? So the play is providing some structure, and maybe in the first 15 or 20 seconds, if it doesn't produce an end result, what do? You got to play out of it.
Play basketball.
Yeah, you have to.
You're
play
not a
out of it.
robot.
Yeah, and so that okay, all right. So the play is now broken down, or something happens, right? You still don't get the shot off, right? They have you scouted, right?
Yeah.
Somebody fumbles the ball,
Right.
Right. The timing is off, right? And so, okay, look, what do you do? Like, you got to play out of it. Like, we've provided some structure, now play out of it.
Yeah.
But
and hopefully the defense is a little tired, or maybe one guy's out of position, or maybe one person stops, paying attention to their man just a little bit.
Right. I mean, if you don't know what to do, attack. Just attack. Attack the paint.
Absolutely.
Get into the paint. Make a play. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
So you were. I want to talk a bit about practice planning, because your practices were. I mean, in hindsight, I didn't appreciate it when I was in them. We're talking practice. It's a little Allen Iverson reference. Your practices were like college practices. I mean, we had these unbelievable drills. You were very prepared. I remember as we walked in here, I was joking, you have a notepad with your notes. It's bringing me back to, you'd walk into the gym with your yellow.
You're kind of pitted underneath you.
You're like, I'm getting nervous being around.
Nervous, yeah.
You'd put the yellow notepad down on the bleachers, and I would go take a quick look and see, all right, what do we got today? What are we doing? Are we running sprints today? What's going on?
Sprints is interesting. I stopped doing them.
Really? Can you go back in time 30 years ago? And
I wish I could, because if we did sprints, it was sort of like up and back. That's it. I might do it for 5 minutes, but it was only up and back. Maybe up and back twice.
I like when I'm
20
running
seconds in between.
Yeah. So when I'm running practice, I like conditioning our kids, but conditioning them through the drills that we're running.
Same.
Right. So
drills were pretty hard.
2-on-2 passing, Georgia drill. I mean,
brutal.
Yeah.
Some of those drills were really hard.
Really hard.
That 6-point deny out in the wing, play to post and weak side, and play one-on-one. I mean, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, since I've been doing a lot of coaching the last few years, I can't tell you how many times I've seen another coach do a drill, like Tom Poser or Russ Bauer.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, that's a great drill. And the response often is, it's a Jonas drill.
Jonas.
And so the 2v2 passing, we do that in practice almost every day. And he calls it UFC drill. And
well, also you guys would talk to Owen and Russ about the energy drill. Right?
Yeah.
They call it the energy drill.
Yeah.
That was your
Actually, I stole that from Jesse Haskins.
We steal everything. The coaches steal. So how does sprints? It's interesting. So you already hit on it. 30 years ago, end of practice, we're running suicides.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't have my guys do one suicide the second time around, and probably hadn't done suicides in a long time.
Okay. What if their energy is low, though?
Exactly? How do you?
Because that's when we use them, or when I would use them, is if it's just like,
energy
is low. You change a drill.
Yeah, and I think, there are days that you just have to work around it. I think when there are going to be days like Mondays, my guess is for you guys, from what I remember, really tough. Weekend, first day back to school over the weekend, crashing a little bit, a little tired.
Energy's low.
Energy's low, even though you're preparing for a game the next day.
Yeah.
Like that can be a challenge. Wednesdays could be okay.
Yeah.
Maybe after a game or something like that. So I think that, well, what I like to do, and I haven't been able to convince the guys at Prolific. By the way, the young coaches at Prolific right now are really, really good. By the way,
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Do you like the practice plans?
Yeah. I mean, he's really well organized,
Yeah.
and like they're really modern, which is, and I mean that in a really positive way.
Yeah.
In terms of how they break down film and film clips, and their preparation and their language, and the sets they run, defenses. I mean, everything they're doing is really, really up to date. I mean, these guys are getting a high level of instruction. I mean, there's no question. Now you can do more with them too, right? The players, but I mean, they do a really, really, really good job. But I think they probably they have a they're a little old school in the sense that they do have these guys run 33s and stuff like that. And it's like, I go out and saw.
Is that like a 17? What's that?
Yeah, I mean, well, 33 seconds, I guess. I don't know,
Okay.
whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
And I've gotten a little soft, I guess. Like I think, okay, you want to get guys tired, 1-on-1 full court,
That was, oh God,
right? I mean, that tires you out.
exhausting.
It's a hard drill, or 2-on-2 full court, or even 3-on-3 full court.
Absolutely.
Add 4-on-4 full court.
All right. So what are your favorite, in hindsight now, if you're having a practice, you're running a practice, what are your favorite drills?
Well, I think
It's more of a crunch time question. Sorry, Duff, but I wanted to.
okay. So I mean, that's I think it really depends on a lot of factors. First of all, it depends on the mood of the coach,
Yeah.
right? I don't know. Here's a story. You can edit it if you want. I think this might have been one of the last times that I actually had guys run a lot. And it was Gene and Justy, and it was a Saturday. And
Gene Barnes, Justin Hovler,
Gene Barnes,
Great
Justin
team.
Hover, really good team.
Yeah.
Really good team.
early 2000s.
Yeah. Actually, this might have been 99. They were
Okay.
juniors, sophomores or juniors. And it was, they were just being little poos on a Saturday morning or something like that. I don't know. Who
Yeah.
knows? They probably stayed out all night. Like,
Yeah.
it's high school kids. And I said, okay, line it up. Like, nobody's paying attention. Line it up. Blah, 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 blah. And then I put 30 seconds up there. Right. Okay. And then Justy mouths off. I said, okay, put a minute up there. And then somebody else says something. I say, okay, put 2 minutes up there. Right. Somehow we get up to like 40 minutes. Now, I'm not going to spend 40 minutes of practice with these guys. But they're running. And again, it depends on what your mood is, right? And I asked Justy, I said, Justy, why do you think I'm doing this? And he goes, well, I got to get a shape discipline. I said, nah, it just makes me feel better to watch you guys suffer. So, I mean, it was kind of tongue in cheek, and we stopped doing it after that, and we went back to practice. But, I mean, so what is your mood as a coach? Like, what do you think you need to do that particular day based on what has been going on with your team? Like, at the same time, I tried to, eventually got better at this, I think, was that back in the old days when you could count on a game on Tuesday and a game on Friday, then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Right.
Like, I mean, you could really actually do some preparation and practice and coaching. So if it was a 2-day week, which I think was much better for everybody, you could spend 2 days on individual work, like let's say Saturday and Wednesday, right after games, that we're going to do stuff that's going to be all individual. And that may mean 1-on-1 full court, but also maybe 1-on-1 half court. It could be some shooting drills,
Right. Yeah.
Whatever it is, but it's very, very little team concepts. Maybe if it's Saturday, you do a little scrimmage at the end or something like that and have them do some shooting contests for Gatorades or something like that. And the same thing on Wednesday. And then you spend your Thursday or Monday in
Day
terms
before
of
the game.
game
Yeah.
for preparation and stuff like that, and do team concepts and stuff like that. And I kind of really like that. And getting into that sort of rhythm. And I've been working and trying to convince the guys at Prolific to do that. But see, Prolific is different because like they play all their games on the weekends.
Okay.
And they also lose a day traveling.
Right.
Right. I mean, Wednesday they're getting on a plane, they're going to Boston, right? A couple of weeks ago, we were in South Carolina, at the Chick-fil-A. And so, and then
So that's hard to practice playing around with.
it's hard to practice playing around. It really is. Yeah. So it's just a weird rhythm, but I mean, that's kind of what I like to do. And then also sort of shuffle it up a little bit, change your warm up. Although there were some staples. I always still like doing 3-man passing as my warm up, full court 3-man passing.
Weave?
40, no
40,
weave.
40 in a row.
Yeah, I'm in 40 row.
Yeah.
Russ, have you guys do that? Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's actually a valuable warm up because it gets guys up and down the court. They have to catch and finish. So there's a goal, gets their heart rate up, they break a sweat, and then you can break into stuff like that.
And there's the pure, you don't want to be the guy who misses.
You don't want to be
you're
the guy.
going for
And so there's
perfection.
pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Is that the full court? So you pass back, pass the other guy, lay up.
Yeah.
And then, I call that San Antonio. I saw Popovich did that.
Okay.
But yeah, same idea.
And he probably took it from me. I mean,
I'm sure he
Pop
did.
and I go, wait, no.
Of course you do. He worships you, Coach.
If you want a little story, though, not with me and Pop, but Dave Listen Pop.
Oh, tell me.
Okay.
I know he played at Claremont.
Yes, he did. Or no,
Pomona.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That was
Ooh, faux Paul.
how dare I?
Yes, how dare
Player control. All right, I'm making a note
Serious
of it.
player
I mean,
control
that's like, I mean, Stanford Duke, like, is there a difference?
Right. I know.
Come on.
That was very good.
I mean, just kind of.
All right. Tell your.
So
your
just
Pop
quick story. So, one of the better games that Branson was involved in was beating a really stacked Modesto Christian team in a NorCal final.
Yeah.
I mean, that team was stacked. And it was every bit as good as most of the prolific teams, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite, but pretty close. And, we ran a sideline out of bounds play with 7 seconds left called San Antonio. And, I stole it from Pop I was watching an early NBA game even had the lead pass back then or whatever it was, and they ran a sideline out of bounds play and got a layup. And I said, I got to use that. So Dave Liss is working out at a gym in the Spurs are in town and they're working out at the same time and Pop sits down next to him.
Yep.
On the bike. And did Dave ever tell you this?
No.
So he sits down next to him on the bike and he goes, David says, excuse me. He goes, I went to Pomona. I played for Coach Cassifakis, something like that, right? Coach K. And who was Pop's assistant.
Right.
And so that broke the ice.
Perfect.
And he said, look, I got to tell you one quick story and I'll let you go. Dave said this. And he goes, we ran a high school play called for a sideline out of bounds. And we called it San Antonio. And he looked at him and he goes, why'd you call it San Antonio? He said, my coach took it from you. Pop goes, your high school coach watches the NBA? Because that's all he does.
Exactly.
Right?
That's great.
So, yeah, it was kind of a funny little story.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So let's talk about the MCal. So when I was playing for you, we were in the Bay Counties League, right? Which was fun. We played University, Marin Academy,
Yeah.
Dudley Ballard, Lick Wilmerding. They had a great urban, good league.
Had Royce. That was a really good league, actually.
But it was,
It still is, actually.
it's a very good league. But,
Underrated.
it
Lots
was
of travel, though.
a lot of
That was
travel.
To and from Athenian could take like a half
Yes.
a day. Yeah.
Yes, Woodside Priory, definitely
Yes.
down there. It was kind of a bummer to not play in the MCal, right? And so
I would agree with you on that.
So you moved to the MCal in the early 2000s. What were your thoughts on that and when you were at Branson?
So it was driven by Ken Siebel and Evan Littleban's dad, who was Peter was the head of the board at that time. They really pushed hard for it. And I thought it was going to be the best thing that ever happened to Branson athletics. And I think it has been.
It has, absolutely.
I always felt that our guys were really, the kids at the school were really competitive and that, the MCal, was sort of this league that, was way above the Bay Counties League and stuff like that. And everybody thought that, okay, we'll have Branson come in and
Kick their ass.
Yeah. 2 easy wins and, blah, 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 blah. And I just felt that our guys were competitive enough that, and I'll add to that, and that they would meet the challenge. But the other thing is, these are the guys that you want to play against. Like, really, do you care about any of the kids that are down at Athenian or Woodside Priory or even in a city where you don't, now the city guys all like going against each other.
Sure.
But, and the Bay Counties League became more and more and more of a city-centered
Yes.
conference, and they run the show.
Right.
And so it was just better for everybody. It was better for travel. We didn't have to go across any bridges. It was better for, David, you wanted to play against the guys that you've been playing against since you were, 7 years old.
We would, and you did a good job. We would schedule. We played Redwood. We played Drake.
Yeah.
And I remember just really getting up for those games.
Yeah.
That was really, really fun.
No, and I think it ended up being really, really, really good for Branson. And I probably helped their enrollment too.
Yeah. So who were your biggest rivals in the MCAL when you were coaching the early 2000s when you guys made that move?
MC was really good.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Rick had some just outstanding teams.
Michael Turner.
Yeah.
Those teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Khalil Bell.
Vita.
Nick Vita. Yeah.
I still remember when MCAL, it was, the game was in the balance, maybe, 1 point, 2 point game. They were shooting a foul shot and missed, and Vita was on the second row of the foul line. And I still can see his body just rising up above everybody.
Yeah.
Just pogoing up and getting the offensive rebound, putting back in, that kind of sealed the game for them.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was just an amazing player. But I mean, he had other players that were really good too.
Yep.
So, and they were really, really well coached. I mean, they played hard. They were organized. I mean, Bobby Donlin could tell you that. I mean, they were really good. Redwood was good. Yeah. Look, and Steve Farstein had some outstanding team.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, he had some really, really, really.
Well, we had Kenny Woodard and Jordan Lewis on.
Jordan was really good.
Jordan was really good. Kenny was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a couple years later, right? That was like kind of late 2000s.
Yeah.
By the way, one little side note: Bob Donlin is just a great guy. I talked to him a lot.
Phenomenal.
And I saw him a couple days ago, and I mentioned that we were going to have you on, and he said he was really pleased when he was your assistant coach that you really listened to him and you valued his opinion and took his suggestions. And he said he was frankly initially kind of surprised by that because you're such a legend, 700 wins, 3 state titles, all that stuff, right? That you listened to your assistant coaches and valued their opinion. And he was a young guy at the time, kind of starting his coaching career, and he still remembers that. So,
Bob's a lot smarter than that. Let's just be honest there, right? And he knows the league and he knows how to play, and he brought a different perspective. I mean,
yeah.
I wish he had been able to stay at Branson longer. That's just,
he did a great job, and
he was phenomenal.
Great,
Absolutely,
and it was fun to hear Tyler Gaffney talk about him too, and that was a really
perfect
great
fit, actually. Tyler and
that's what Tyler talked about, and it's great, instructive for all the coaches out there. Tyler, one of my favorite. I mean, all these interviews have been amazing, but Tyler, what he said about his style, he wanted to be authentic to himself, right? That Tyler's kind of
to be if you're going to be a coach. I mean, actually, it's probably true for anything, right?
Yeah,
You got to be who you are.
Yeah, unless you're maybe an actor.
Yeah,
exactly. But that just Bob was a
acting.
kind of mild-mannered.
Good call on the actor.
Yeah, way to go, Duff. Bob was a gentle, kind of mild-mannered. He wasn't an alpha. And Tyler,
he wasn't? Are you kidding me? Of course he was. You think Bob didn't control that team? You think Bob didn't control the?
He did it in a quieter way.
Well, all right. So how many people have seen Band of Brothers?
I've watched it.
You know Band of Brothers?
Of course.
All right. Who's the alpha in Band of Brothers? Captain Winters. But he did it in a different way, didn't he?
Yeah.
Right. Like you could be an alpha and be tough as nails and non-negotiable on certain things and, have your standards, but do it in a different way.
Sure.
I mean, so Bob's an alpha, 100%. Tyler's an alpha.
That's we talked about this. Alpha disguised as a beta. That's exactly what they
literally said that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah. I mean, come on. Tyler, you think Tyler's not crazy competitive?
Of course he's competitive.
Yeah. And probably even crazy competitive in some ways.
Yes, he is.
I'll mention the number of times that I beat him in a shooting contest last year.
Oh, I bet he's pissed about that.
Yeah, maybe twice.
I was going to say, did you really?
I did, yeah. We do the totally off topic, but you shoot 6. You have to make. We've done this before, right?
Yeah,
6 threes.
Okay.
And you can do it on multiple baskets. Then you have to go to another basket in a big gym. It's the first guy to make 6. Everyone has their own ball, so you're just running around shooting threes. Really fun. Got it a couple times.
Tyler can shoot it.
Many.
So can Duffy.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. I had a question about coaching your kid.
Whew. Oh God.
So we talked about this with Rick Winter. He coached his son Brock at Marin Catholic. You coached Isaiah at Branson. What was that like for you?
I probably overcompensated, trying to not.
You didn't want to appear to be favoring.
Yeah, and I think that was not fair to Isaiah, to be honest with you. At the same time, I mean, he really came through for the team multiple times.
He was huge. And what a great guy. Just an awesome person.
Yeah.
Both your kids, Rachel and Isaiah, are both phenomenal humans.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Probably thank my wife more about that one.
Had you played a lot of one-on-one or pickup with him leading up to coaching him?
I did. Until then, I didn't. And it was time in the backyard where I just said, this is not going well.
Too competitive? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not going well. So I think maybe I made a mistake there. Maybe I should have continued to play. And instead of trying to let him find his own path. I mean, in some ways, in the end, I think it worked out well. I mean, he had some really big games and good games in
Absolutely.
an important situation.
And a state title team.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what were you like as a parent? So when he's playing CYO or youth basketball, were you coaching him then?
Not really. I mean, I coached a little when they were at Mount Tam, just the Mount Tam team.
Okay.
This is kind of weird. I was kind of like pushing. I wish there were, like, if there were a hockey rink, an ice rink here, he probably would have gone that route.
Yeah, played hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he did a lot of roller hockey and stuff like that. And I was not pushing him to basketball. And I don't know if that was good or bad. Like my daughter Rachel didn't play basketball.
Right.
But when she could have been okay, like a good player, because she was a good athlete.
But when Isaiah's playing and you're not coaching, are you sitting in the stands? Are you saying anything or are you sitting there? Are you quiet?
I had to be quiet, for sure.
Yeah.
Mumble a little bit to my wife, but when he was at WashU or something like that, yeah. But he played behind two guys that were really, really good. Like one of them was they were both ended up being D3 All-Americans.
Oh wow.
So they both really were Ivy League players who decided to go to WashU rather than go Ivy or something like that.
Yeah.
And high level. One of them was the starting point guard on John Shire's high school team.
John Shire, current Duke coach.
Yes.
Played for
and
Coach K.
This kid was a really good player.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was really outstanding. And, they also, his freshman and sophomore year, they won the D3 national championship. So that team was stacked.
Yeah. Did Isaiah get any time?
Not in those two teams.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like.
Yeah. Well, he was playing behind these two guards that were, the other kid was outstandanding too.
Yeah. I don't know if you heard our interview with Michelle Brabelli,
Yeah.
but it was great when she talked about her dad. And I remember seeing this, her dad at the SR games would sit way up high and he wouldn't say anything, but he'd just have his legs crossed. And if he would uncross and recross his legs, she and Mike would say, oh crap, we did something wrong.
Right.
That was but he was very respectful. Like he didn't say anything. He would just sit and that's great.
I mean, Coach Brevell, he's just an amazing guy. And, in fact, I just saw him because Vic Rakovich and Seattle U played at USF a couple of weeks ago. And so I was talking to Coach before that and his wife, obviously, just, talked to Michelle on the phone that night. I mean, Michelle, did you ever get a chance to see her coach?
Yeah.
She was
really good.
I mean, really good. And her demeanor and she was a high level Division I coach.
Yeah.
And, I mean, she made choice not to go that route, which is fine. But I mean, she really, and she's a lot like her dad in that respect. I mean, just her ability to stay calm in tight situations and still be firm and get her message across and be fair. And she was really good.
Love her.
I do too. Yeah, she's amazing.
All right, Coach, we could talk for hours more, but let's get to crunch time.
Okay. You don't want to talk about the state of the game right now?
Why don't you talk about the state of the game?
No, I'm kidding you. I'm just messing with you.
Toughest player you've ever coached against?
Well, that's a hard one. There's a photo of a guy by the name of Dave Levine.
I met that guy. Yeah.
And there's a photo in the IJ of this 6-footer,
152 pounds, probably,
guarding a McDonald's All-American who's
Dave Darnell,
7 feet.
7 feet, went to Arkansas. Shut that guy down.
And I think those guys won the Chick-fil-A their senior year.
Yes.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
They were a top 20 team in the country. And I mean, he went probably for 41 game against us, right? One game we decided to let him be the guy. We played him 5 times that year and lost all 5. Although we played him close at our place.
We played him really close
scared
at Branson. That was awesome.
Yeah, we did scare them. Yeah, we came within a couple possessions of winning that one. But
I think you told me one game, the first 5 times he touches the ball to foul him.
Yeah,
and I was trying to do the math. I'm like, okay, wait a minute, coach.
Let's edit that part out.
So Darnell, how about in the MCal? Who's the toughest we ever coached against?
That again, there were just a lot of good players. I don't want to leave anybody out, but from Nick Vita and the MC guys. Yeah. But Jordan Lewis was really good. I mean, there were a lot of good players. Alex Pribble, forget about him.
We've already interviewed him. It'll be live by the time your episode comes out.
Yeah.
Prib was unbelievable player.
Just a really, really, really good player.
So competitive.
And a phenomenal human being.
What a great guy.
Yeah, I'm so happy that he's a head coach and he deserves that and he's earned that.
Yeah. He's great.
Yeah. So I mean, there's just a lot of really good players. Like Marin County basketball is really good. Marin County sports. I mean, look at this. We had Jared Goff, right? The number 1 pick in the NFL. This is the NFL. Like, think about all the athletes that are in the country, right? And the number 1 pick, right?
Yeah. Is a Marin Catholic.
Is a Marin
Catholic. Grew up in Novato.
Right. Novato kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, and the number, look, the football teams that are winning state championships, the basketball teams that have won state championships out of, and the number of baseball, volleyball teams, right? I mean, just think about baseball. Baseball might be the most competitive sport in the MCAL.
Yeah.
Top to bottom.
It's really, really good.
Yeah, we've had a ton of really good players come out. So like it's a really good sports county.
It really is. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Top 3 Branson players you ever coached.
Do I have to really go there?
Yeah, just can't say Dave Levine because I was so far away.
Well, I have to say, Chris Green.
Chris Green, absolutely. A listener of the pod, by the way.
Okay. And a Division III All-American.
Division III All-American. Unbelievable player.
Who else would you go with? Oliver McNally.
Played at Harvard.
And they were ranked in the top 25 his senior year.
Played with Jeremy Lin, right?
He did.
Lin, same backcourt.
Yeah.
Lin Sanity.
Yeah.
Oliver's probably, I mean, I've watched all your teams play for years. I'm a proud alum. Oliver, probably my favorite Branson player to watch.
Well,
just because he's so competitive, man.
Well, you could look at it this way too. His freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year, we all won Northern California championship and played in the state championship game, and he won 3 out of those 4. So
there you go. His brother Xander wasn't bad either.
No, I think his brother Xander could have been a starting free safety in the NFL. The way he can be.
I've mentioned this on another episode, but Xander personally had, I think, 6 steals against me in an adult league game, and I was like, "This sucks."
So, what do you do? Take it easy on you?
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, he could have done it against anybody.
Well, I think Duffy stopped passing me the ball.
Well, our strategy playing against him, I think I mentioned this before, is if he's guarding you, you just go to the opposite corner.
Get away.
You take him away as far as you possibly can, and he'll still get 3 or 4 steals.
Exactly. All right. Who else? Give me another one.
You give me one.
Vic
up there, obviously.
Hovler. How about Hovler? One of the Hovlers.
Both of the Hovlers.
Yes.
Right? Gene Barnes.
The Hovlers were unbelievable. Gene Barnes, amazing. Played at UCLA.
Yes.
Okay, this is a tough one, Coach. Best Branson team ever. You're allowed to say the 1993 team featuring Dave Levine, Charles Hovler.
Well, that team may have had one of the better wins in the history of Branson basketball.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, we had a couple great ones.
Well,
Ripon
Christian. I mean, we were down, right? Call timeout. Do you remember the play that we ran?
No.
To start our run?
No, what was it?
High ice. And who shot the ball?
I'm going to guess Charles Hovler.
How about Dan Pardee?
Oh, Dan Pardee.
How about Danny Pardee?
My best friend, Dan Pardee. Also,
Barry's the top of the key 3, right? And we went on like a 26-0 run or something like that in that gym.
Yeah. Hostile environment.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
NorCal. I think that was first round NorCal game.
First or second round.
Yeah, first, second round.
And
Dan Pardee,
and they were the
awesome player.
Division 5 state champions.
Yes.
And then
I got elbowed in the cheek in that game, and Tom Ryan gave me stitches at halftime.
Yeah. I do remember that. Yeah.
Because I'm tough.
Yeah. So how about that game? That was.
That was a good one. All right, but what's your best Branson team ever? Do you think?
I'll have to go with. I guess I'll have to go with Isaiah and Xander Oliver's group. I think that team would have beaten Vic's team, even though Vic's team.
That would have been a really good battle.
I think it would have been a really good battle. The guards were just a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Than Calumet and.
Yep.
With Calumet was a backup then with Oliver, Xander, and Isaiah. Guards were a little bit bigger than Peyton and Quentin. And
yep.
So I don't know. I think maybe that would be a difference. And Xander probably could have done a pretty good job on, or even, I don't know. Xander could have done a good job on Vic.
There were some great teams. Coach, favorite gym in Marin?
I'll have to go with probably Redwood simply because, we had a lot of good memories there in NCAL playoffs. Yeah. But, in terms of history and you have to go with Archie and Drake. That place is pretty special. Very special gym.
Agreed. Favorite coaching aphorism, saying, one-liner? I'll preface this by saying I still use "do your work early." You always used to say that to us.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one.
So I'm going to go with one that's sort of like off the wall ish, maybe not off the wall ish. But I used to say it to Gene Barnes all the time, and I used to say, "Gene, it's not about you." And the only reason I said that is that he was playing, he was playing for Lav, and he was actually getting some, until he got injured, he was actually doing really well.
Yeah.
And I got a call after he played well one night, and I got a call late at night. And he goes, "Coach, I just want to let you know it's not all about you."
Well, we use another one of yours with the Tom Poser and John Granucci one. He used to say this to me all the time in practice when I would dive for a ball and didn't get it. Say, Levine, flamboyant yet ineffective.
So I stole that one too. That one I stole. That one it's not an original. I stole it from a guy by the name of Jack Marin, who was a math teacher and soccer coach at Branson. And then he ended up getting married, moved east, and took a job at the Choate School in Hartford, Connecticut. And has just recently retired.
Beautiful.
But I stole that from him.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, Coach, you're up 3, less than 15 seconds. Are you fouling or are you playing straight up?
Not to sound like the presidents of some esteemed universities, but it all does depend on context, doesn't it?
This is a congressional hearing.
All right. So what do I mean? I think the rule of thumb is under 5 seconds you foul, right?
Okay.
Isn't that sort of the rule of thumb? And I'm going to give you. I'll give you 2 quick stories in a second. I think that you have to feel confident enough that you're going to be able to get a defensive rebound.
Absolutely. That's a big part of it.
And I think it's a really big part of it, And so I think that in terms of context, I think that has to go. Like if they have beasts under there, they're going to push you right underneath and get an offensive rebound and put back
on the free throw.
Then like maybe you take your chances. But at the same time, we were playing Columbus High School from Florida that has the 2 Boozer brothers in it.
Cameron.
Yeah. And we're up 3 with 8 seconds to go. This is this year. And we're yelling foul, 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 and we don't foul. Guy misses the foul. Jason Richardson's son drives to the top of the key and just lets it fly between, actually he doesn't get that far. He's like halfway between, the circle and the top of the key.
Yeah.
And banks into 3 to tie it up and lose in overtime.
So you don't say to foul, your kids don't foul and end up giving up a bank 3.
Well, at least they didn't foul on the 3 and cause you to lose.
Draymond Green.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Daryl Rory just mentioned to you in the Bambauer. There was a game. Who was it? But a team was up.
Mills. Yes, a team was up 3 on the free throw line, several seconds to go, missed both free throws, and then fouled on a half-court shot coming back the other way, goes in.
And they lost.
And they at the buzzer, and they
lose on a 4-point play.
Ooh.
So that was not an optimal end of games.
But how about Chet, right? Holmgren from, he buries the 3 and they don't foul, right? Because they allow a pass to go to the side instead of making it, right? And then, we're not going to let that happen again. That was that.
Oh man, that was brutal.
And you knew that he was going to make those
Yeah.
3 free throws.
This
too.
Warriors team has had some of these losses.
God.
All right, Coach, last one. Dream team, all-time Marin
Oh,
starting 5.
I wanted to sort
He's
of,
going into his notes.
no, I wanted to pass on that.
You can pass.
And the reason why is that I don't want to leave somebody out. And that kind of,
Yeah.
I've got a
You know.
replacement question.
go ahead.
Go down.
All right. 'Cause we've been talking about this, and you mentioned it earlier, Marin County sports. And so the question is, now you're an outsider from Marin. We both grew up in Marin. We feel like Marin County basketball is something special. There's more history. There are coaches and players that come out of the county, and that there's, now there's a podcast about, the Marin County basketball. Is it really different than, like, say, Sonoma or San Mateo, or do we just feel that way because we're deeply ingrained in it?
No, I bet it is different. Look, I had going to the USF game, I went with John Burrow. Okay. So John Burrow and his backcourt mate was Jerry Pirro.
Yeah, at Redwood.
Now think about this. John Burrow goes to USF. Jerry Pirro goes to Santa Clara.
Yeah.
I mean, probably the best backcourt in the history
Yeah.
of Marin County, right? I mean, if you think about it, I mean, there's just a long history of really outstanding athletes and basketball players in particular coming out of this county. And I think it's and maybe it's just the way the county is, you have the southern part of the county, you have the central part of the county, you have the northern part of the county, and that kind of like plays a role as well, and it didn't get lost in the turnover of Marin County from the days of the 50s and 60s, maybe even early 70s, where it was still kind of middle classish. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a little funky, but a little middle classish for sure, right?
Right.
And that's turned over to what it is today.
Yeah.
I always felt that we had an advantage at Branson over, at least I did, over a lot of the other coaches, because the coaches that were around that had the old Marin County, then the new Marin County came in, and they're like, how do I deal with these guys? It's like, I've been dealing with it for 20 years.
Exactly.
So that gave us an edge in the 2000s.
Sure.
when there was when the whole thing's changed. But it hasn't been lost. Like, look what Rick's doing with the MBBA and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he's keeping, I mean, he's just doing a great job.
Absolutely.
With all that.
Well, Rick, we talked about, particularly in the early 2000s in the MCAL, the coaches
Oh, yeah, Doug.
were so good. Doug Donnellan, Brett Tavani,
Brett.
Campagno. I mean,
Campagno.
right.
Steve.
Farbstein, incredible coaches.
Yeah, Craig Peasy.
Craig Pitty was a great coach. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good coach.
We've been very fortunate to have incredible. And then on the, we're spending a lot on the boys side because you coach boys, but on the girls side, it's equally incredible
100%.
talent, coaches. We just had Brooke Smith on, McDonald's All-American.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's
we're
amazing.
very fortunate to have this community in Marin.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if there's an unfortunate thing about Marin girls basketball is that a lot of the girls who normally went into basketball are going into volleyball today.
Correct.
Right.
And that probably is
It's-
a little frustrating.
It's depleting CYO programs. It's depleting freshman girls
And
programs.
it's great. Volleyball's a great sport. And we've got, Absolute and Marin Volleyball. We have these great club programs, and they're Division I after Division I players. But you're right. As someone who's coached girls, and I had some really, really good potential basketball players, and they were so good at volleyball, they didn't focus as much on basketball, and it's like what might have been.
I know. And look, from a parent's perspective, the route to getting, sort of some scholarship money in volleyball is a little easier than it is in basketball.
Sure.
And I don't mean easier, but if you have 320 volleyball teams, and I mean,
Yeah, and on the boys
Division
side,
I
it's kind of water polo, right? In
Yeah.
the county. It's
Exactly.
the same dynamic.
Yeah, totally.
yeah. So I mean, look, I don't mean to say it. Please don't take this the wrong way. I don't mean it's unfortunate, but I mean, it'd be nice to have some of those 6-footers plus.
Coach, you're telling
Playing
me
some hoop.
I'm coaching high school girls basketball.
Yeah.
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Coach, so good to see you. So fun to talk hoop. We might have to do another round with you because I have about 2 pages of questions I didn't ask you. But
Well,
we
he
can
didn't
go-
get through everything. I can confirm that. And who thought we'd end crunch time talking about volleyball? But
that's what you
again,
said.
that's
Coach
it.
Honick.
we took what the interview was
Yeah.
giving us.
But
Or the congressional hearing. Right?
Yeah, right. Well, that was a good one.
tangents. We're band of brothers. Thank you for the time.
Yeah, I like that.
Great to see you. Always fun to talk to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Coach.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dave, it's not about you. Except for, actually, right now, it is about you.
Oh.
Because you played for Coach Honick, and I think getting your take first seems to be appropriate and fair. So let's hear it. And don't be as nice as you always are.
I'm so nice. Kenya, what are you doing? Is Kenny growling? No. I thought it was, well, first of all, very fun to talk with Coach Honick. Very fun to have you, Duff, mic'd up.
Yes, indeed.
What a
I know,
revelation.
right? We're making progress.
Making progress. Thank you, sponsors.
There you go, Dibs. There you go.
That's right. Honick is a great guy. So fun to talk to. I mean, I will say, and I mentioned this in the interview, and I think I've mentioned this in prior discussions. I mean, Honick was tough to play for. Like, he was a demanding coach. If you made a mistake, you'd get yelled at.
He was tough to play against as well, Dave. I can tell you that.
Very tough to play against. I don't doubt it, but I learned so much from him, and I loved getting his take on today's players versus coaching 30, 40 years ago. I thought it was, I just thought of this one when he talked about, 30 years ago, before the shot clock, before the 3-point line, you're up 5 and there's 4 minutes left. The game's over.
Game over. Yeah.
And he's right.
Yeah.
It was just, particularly if you had fundamental teams that could jump stop and pivot and handle the ball and get, make good passes and cut back door. Yeah. And that, therefore, the games were in the 20s or 30s. But I liked his quote also, the game is a good teacher. And that was related to what we've talked about a lot, Duff, is just the lost art of pickup.
Yep.
I thought that was interesting. I don't know what.
Yeah, there are a lot of, the coaching his son, that we've talked about that a few times now in the podcast, but that, certainly resonated with me. And I thought he gave very sort of honest perspective.
Yeah.
Of, maybe how he might do it differently now, and sort of his evolution as a coach after sort of coming back to Branson and sort of having a different style. The no sprints at all in practice just totally blew me away. I would have never, ever predicted that was his approach.
Shocking to me. That was.
But maybe he does push-ups. We didn't, or wall sits or something else. He must do something.
Well, I still remember one practice. I remember it vividly because I remember not sleeping, but we had a really bad game. We were in a tournament in San Francisco State. Dan Pardee will remember who we played. I can't remember the team. It was some team from the South Bay. But anyway, we got our butts kicked. And that was a Friday night. And as we're in the locker room, taking our shoes off, Honick said, all right, practice tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Be there. We're not even going to use basketballs. And we show up, and I think we had one basketball, but it was 1-on-1 full court and 2-on-2 passing, which are these really hard drills. 1-on-1 full court is just basically you're in your defensive stance, defending someone for the length of the court and back. It's exhausting. It's worse than a sprint. And we had, 2 hours of that. I'll never forget that practice. I think it was the hardest physical experience I've ever had in my life.
I can imagine. What else about Coach? I would say very generous. Just in the little bit of time that we spent with him, he gave me some good advice about, as we mentioned earlier, how to maybe go after the Branson team. And then afterwards, he offered to come hang out and watch one of our practices and give us, some tips and talk to the players. And I think that's probably going to happen next week. So here's a guy that when I was playing at Marin Academy, he kind of seemed like a sort of the evil empire to me. It turns out that was just kind of a teenager's perception, but it's been cool to talk with my teammates from Marin Academy, who I think for a long time we just kind of, held that, perception because his teams were good and he was intense on the court.
So many quotes that he would say over and over again, lines that he would say to us over and over again, ingrained in me. I find myself saying them, just like you say things that your parents said to you when you were a kid. Do your work early. Always said that to us, meaning on defense, don't let someone cut in front of you. You got to do your work early and then you'll benefit. Don't fall for the quick and easy. He mentioned that in our discussion. I already talked about flamboyant and ineffective with Tom Poser and John Granucci. That's one of my favorites. But there are about 10 things that Honick always would say over and over again in practice, and now I find myself saying them as a coach, just like you'd say what your parents told you.
I've been using Bubby Brister a lot more in my in my day-to-day interactions.
Please do.
I can tell you that most people don't remember who he was as a player.
It's a deep cut.
It's a deep cut.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you, Coach Honick, for joining us. Hopefully, our listeners, even if you don't know Coach or watched his teams play, hopefully you got some interesting tidbits just on the game, because he knows the game really well. And I think we're going to have another discussion with him where we talk more about just in general his views on the state of the game.
We are going to have him back. We also need to give a prolific prep update.
Oh, yes. So after our discussion with Coach, he got on a plane the next day, flew back east, and Prolific played Montverde, which is the number one team in the country, with Cooper Flagg, the number one recruit in the country, who's going to Duke. Mm-hmm. Prolific played them really tough. They ended up losing. How many did they lose by, Duff? It was a close game.
It might have been 6 or 8. Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was closer than that, but it was
really, really fun game. It was on ESPN. I think it was on ESPN2, but lost by 5 points. I mean, he said Prolific was up late, but Montverde closed it out. Both teams played very well, a very high-level high school game. And it was the first time that the number one ranked players in the senior, junior, and sophomore classes were all on the same court. So Cooper Flagg from Montverde and AJ DeBensa and Tyron Stokes from Prolific. A couple of days ago, Prolific defeated Dream City from Glendale, Arizona. 2 players going to Arizona on that team. And now Prolific is headed to Orlando this week for 3 games and a rematch against Montverde. So, and as I mentioned at the start of this episode, 3 Prolific prep players were named to the All-American squad yesterday.
I don't want to play them. I'm going to put it right out there. It's nice to play good competition, but not that good.
No. And, Prolific is one of these basketball academies that popped up. They were traditionally on the East Coast, in the Northeast and in Florida. And Prolific was kind of the first one, to my knowledge, at least in Northern California. And it's just amazing how it's grown. And now you've got, NBA players, really, really high profile, top 5 team in the country. And we're not kidding when we say that, the top NCAA coaches are flying out, coming to Napa and meeting with Coach Honick to talk about Prolific players.
Seems to be the future. I'm not sure it's the most idyllic future, but it does seem to be the future.
Yep.
And speaking of futures, Kenya's stuffed tiger will be facing a future without the use of its right ear. Good work, Kenya.
Sure, there's a medical term for that you know, but you don't have to share it with us. All right, well, thank you for listening, everybody, and we're excited. We got some great new interviews coming up. We had a few more people confirm for us, which we're excited about. Going to be really cool. Yeah. Some non-basketball people, right? Well,
former basketball players, current
Major League Baseball.
Major League Baseball players.
Yes, Will Vanderbilt is going to be on.
Yeah, looking forward to that. The term is BEA, below the ear amputation.
Okay.
The is silent. So
that's
BA.
A great glossary term.
All right.
Thanks, Duff.
This has been the Run TMC podcast. Thank you for listening and for supporting us.
On his feet, he looks up and gives me a grin and says,
Hey dude, you too must be from Marin.
Marin County's A-OK, from Tampa, Stinson, all the way to MA. Fresh organic veggies in the market every day. The dead